Hello there. What do we have here? Another 1/48 scale Airfix Jaguar video. Yes, but no. This is going to be half rant, half how to fix something. Okay. When this kit first came out, or when it was announced, and then when it came out, and all the UK reviewers got it, and everyone started to build it, it was hailed as the coming of the best thing since sliced bread, and the coming of Jesus again, and you know, the best thing since push-up bras and compulsory voting, the whole thing. But they missed one little concept with new Airfix toolkits. You know, everyone was hailing, oh, this is a Tamiya kit now. And yeah, it is. It's caught up to Tamiya. Because everything Tamiya makes in 1/48 scale in the last 10 years, you can't do wheels up. And this kit has the same deceptive box art as almost all modern aircraft kits. It is not an aircraft kit. This is a car kit. It can only be built wheels down, flaps down, leading edge slats down, all the landing gear deployed. That's the only way it can be built. It's not an aircraft kit. It's 120 bloody Australian dollars, and I can't build this wheels up out of the box. And I'm getting sick and tired of having to fix kits these days, but I'm going to persevere because it is, to their credit, it looks like, out of the box, a really, really nice kit. Let's get into it. Let's see if I can get past my negativity. The flaps are done, deployed down. They didn't bother to add to be able to modify these slots. I don't know why they did separate parts for these little doodads here. They couldn't mold them, I guess. So not only are they deployed slats down only, flaps down, ailerons, the leading edge slats too. Okay, see that? Because that's how they are on the ground, as far as I know. Like the old ME262. Well, they couldn't make separate ones to deploy. Hopefully it's just a case of just cutting off those things. Let's see. That's the first thing. The next thing, you get 2 complete pages. How complicated is that? Of landing gear. And if you guys like to do your landing gear and you know, you got to adjust positions while you're doing it, you got to do direct angle. No, thank you. Anyway, so because I spend 2 bloody pages on landing gear and 400 parts, this is where they squish it into a little cartoon strip right at the top of step 100 on how to actually put the landing gear covers on. Now, to their credit, they do include the closed landing gear parts, because a lot of the Jags, when they're on the ground, to cover up all that landing gear bay detail. I don't understand the fixation on having good landing gear detail. The things are wheels down when you display them. The only way to look in the landing gear is you've got to pick the model up. What's the bloody point? Anyway, they have, instead of you having to modify a part like you do in camera, Chris, they do provide separate parts if you want to have separate doors, which is good. So this gives you the first indication, maybe this isn't as hard as it looks. However, you do have to, there are 2 other parts. There's a tiny little wee door, and I can't even see it. Here it is. I've circled it. Here it is. There it is. There. See that little door there, and that little door there. Okay, just behind. And they don't show you. Well, okay, they do. I'm complaining. Yes, and I can complain. But so it looks like we're going to have to modify these air brake / door parts and those little tiny little door parts there, reminiscent of the Tamiya F14. Hopefully it's not too hard. And then the same thing they do in the nose gear. You've got the main here with the landing lights. It's got an additional panel which slits behind it. Hopefully, I'm not sure what's going to happen when we go down here, but thankfully they actually do supply a 1-piece closed door, because again, they close the doors on most of them when they're down, or you can, if you want, put some extra parts in there and have a look open. I don't know why. I mean, this is one of the most sexiest aircraft ever built, and you want to have it wheels down, and what's the point? We got a pilot, woohoo, seated pilot, so that's all sorted. But however, what's he doing there? What's he holding on his, has he got a separate hand? No, he's just sitting there at parade attention with his hands on his laps. So he's not flying the aircraft, he's just sitting there waiting for someone to say, you can get out now. Okay, so that's the problem. Flaps, slats, landing gear doors. Let's see how hard it is to do. I'm going to get stuck into the parts. All right. I must say, the quality of this kit, yeah, if you were to give me this kit blind and I was cutting the parts off the sprue and looking at the details, and I'm like, yeah, that's Tamiya level quality. It's a lovely kit. This is one of the fuselage halves. Here's the other one. very quickly just put them, whoop, shit, there it goes, off the bench. I put them together, you know, just cleaned them up quickly, and yeah, okay, see how it always happens on camera, doesn't work. Oh, come on. Yeah, it clicked together. It's wonderful engineering. It's, you know, far and beyond what, there we are, got it. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lovely kit to put together with, apart from doing, oh, you can see I've half done it, okay? Doors open, doors closed, doors open, doors closed. All right, I'll show you how to do this. There are several things to do. There are 3 parts. Let me just bring them in for the other fuselage half. All right, so you've got the main gear door that Airfix has engineered to be closed up. That fits nicely, okay? There it is there. Can you see that piece there? All right, that fits nicely. The next piece you have to modify, and that's this little tiny door. Okay, so obviously you got to take off the sprue bit, but you've got to take off these hinges. Okay, see them there? So just cut that flush like there, and then the other thing you'll have to do, because this is always a problem with landing gear doors, they're never in scale. I love pointing this out to the car modelers. You know your landing gear doors are inaccurate. That's too thick. Okay, so that lip that runs along that edge there, it's too thick. You just need to sand that back. Okay, and then the shape, it fits really nicely in there up against the door there. I've got a little bit of a lip. I just felt that. Or I can sand that back just slightly. That's okay. I've spent more time looking at reference photos, and you'll see that in a minute with the air brake, than I have actually modifying this. It's so far not too hard to do. Now let's talk about the air brake. The problem is the way that Airfix has done those external hinges. See, it's designed to stick out like this. Okay, so they've designed those hinges at the correct, well, not correct for the scale, but for the kit, so that they will latch into those holes, which I've filled up, as you can see, okay, at the correct angle. However, I tried modifying these ones on this air brake, and come on, camera, and it just wouldn't work. The angle is incorrect, so the easiest way to do it is just to chop it off. Chop it off and get some 1.1 evergreen strip, glue it in there, okay, and then just make that flush. And unfortunately, they've done a really good job. I'll show you this one. What's going on with my camera? I think it's not liking this side light here. So can you see that rivet detail on the inside there? I can feel my fingers there. Okay, it's lovely. It's got some really, and this last panel, this overlap panel at the end, it's nearly see-through. It's an exquisitely molded piece. Well done, Airfix. I can't fault it. However, to make it fit flush, you're going to have to sand that all off. Okay, I'll see if I can show you on this one. On the inside there, let me get a pointy thingy. But on the inside there, okay, I've had to sand pretty much all of that detail off. Okay, because it interferes with the fit. And in fact, it's not that good. And you can see here that I've got a little bit of a lip there, and a little bit there, which that one I will fill a little bit, but that one I won't, because if you look at reference photos, this air brake, speed brake thingy, it actually should be like that. It isn't flush, okay? So when you look at it from the rear or the side, you can tell that it's not flush. So I don't think I've done too bad a job. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I might be able to do a better job on the other side. However, going forward, what you need to do is, yes, you do need to do a little bit of reinforcement. If you don't want to build up the gear bay, I don't know how many parts there is. There's just so many bloody parts. I think, let me just have a look off screen. I should have looked at this beforehand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 8 parts plus a bulkhead. If you don't want to do that, just get a little bit of the old 0.25 by 4.8 mil. This is the best stuff for doing this, and just put a little bit of strip here and there, just to give it a lip to sit on, because that closed piece just has a butt joint up against the fuselage hull. So that just gives you a little bit more for it to sit on, and there we have it. So that wasn't too long. Like I said, it was more about the researching it. And also, I have noticed when these are closed up, Airfix have got that wrong. There is actually a little slot there at the end, and what I'll do is I'll paint that over. So yeah. I'm fairly happy with that. I think we'll go forward with the other half, and then we'll get the nose gear and move on. Let's start with the slats first. You can see the difference between the kit part, which has these very long latches attached to the edge there, okay, and has these internal latches as well. Just ignore my ducks in the background, but also ignore those the sprue points. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to cut that all off, and then on the inside you need to smooth and sand off the inside of those slats, okay? Because what happens then is the wing, right? Then it will fit nice and flush over the top of the wing. The ducks are really enjoying that, aren't they? Oh, okay, it's best to see it underneath. Let's have a look underneath. So you can see that it fits in there nice and flush underneath. And you can also see the easiest way to do it is not to worry about trying to modify any of those latches, is you just fill them in using a bit of evergreen. So I used a little bit of the 1.1 for some of the bigger ones, those short ones, actually those 3 short ones, that's 1.1, 1x1, sorry, and then the, oh, there it is, the 0.75 by 75 for those 2 longer ones, they fit in there nicely, okay? After I worked out how to do it, this doesn't take very long to do. It takes probably about 5-10 minutes of sanding and cutting. The one that did take a bit longer are the flaps and ailerons. So let's have a look at those. I use the same wing, the underside of the wing there. Come on, camera, focus. All right, so you can see that I've actually removed, there's these positive, so these location points here. So just come in there with your sprue cutter and cut them off flush, like so. I'll actually show you how to do it. So just get your sprue cutter, come in there, cut that off nice and flush, and then come in with your preferred sanding stick, or I used a thin sanding stick like that, and just make that nice and smooth so you've got a nice flush surface to install the flap. The next thing you need to do, and I'll show an unmolested one, so that's the other side, okay, see how it's designed to be, you know, this way. What you need to do is cut off both of those 2 latches, and then using that inside panel line as a guide, you can use a scribing tool if you want, like Tamiya scribing tool, but I prefer to use my my lovely Galaxy saw. Is you literally just cut it off. In fact, I could almost do it on camera for you right now. So just get in there, nice. That's all you do, is just cut that all the way off because it won't fit underneath the wing. There we go. Done. Right, but as done, you can see the profile there is very square, whereas on the modified one, if hopefully you can see that, apart from my dirty fingernails, you have to actually profile it. So that means on the upper side here for the next 2 millimeters on the leading edge there, and in fact these are a bit too proud, these latches, which you will not see, I'll show you. Okay, if we put it underneath the wing there, you actually don't see it. But let's see if I can get the understanding of the profile there. So you need to just smooth the profile out there. I'll put the inside wing in. This is, Airfix has done a really good job engineering this. So the inside wing just sits in there lovely. Here's the flap, okay, and it just sits there nice and flush. So if I put it in there like that, okay, it's nice and flush, and on the top side it should look like that. Right, but you have to shape that edge there. So I just use, let's have, what have I got here? 220 grit sanding thing. Just get rid of the saw bits. In fact, there's a bit of an edge there. Let's just take that off a little bit. And then all I do is, using that as a guide there, is let's just start to smooth that edge and make it a bit of a profile. So I'm just rounding that off. It'll take off a fair bit of material at once there. I won't do this all on camera, but you get the idea. That's all you have to do, is just back and forward on that side, now we're on this side, and just try to get that nice and flush. I still have to remove those bits there. The same process with the aileron. Okay, there's the unmolested kit part. Right, basically you need to modify it back to that. I don't think I need to do much profiling. I did a little bit of profiling. Let's see what it fits like. So it fits in there really nice and smooth. On the top side, it looks like this. So you can barely see the latch. sticking out there. Now, I will have a look at some photos and see, because I'm going to have this, I think I'm going to have mine banking in flight quite a bit, so I want to deflect those ailerons a little bit, so I might need to modify them. But that, again, is just a few minutes of fairly straightforward modification. Time to tackle the nose landing gear. Now I have built up, because you have to use it as a base for the cockpit tub here, the nose landing gear bits. I must admit, not very impressed with the, I mean, the detail's nice on the inside, but it's quite a sloppy construction. Anyway, you don't actually need this at all to put in the doors, but you do need it to secure the, it's got these 3 little tabs there with those corresponding holes there. You need them to, upside down, Miss Jane, to secure the bottom of the, which way are we going? Doesn't matter, whatever. Okay. You don't actually need it to do this next step. What you do need to do is create a lip, okay? And you need to do it in this fashion. Well, this is the simplest way to do it. I use 0.25 sheet by 4.8. Okay, so you need to cut a piece that goes down. You can go all the way to the end here if you want. It won't interfere with that nose gear. That's why I built that up, that piece. So for interference, and you need just a little piece on the end here. The reason for that is there are 3 doors that you need to fill up. Okay, here they are, 1, 2, and 3. Dimensionally, they're about right. The middle door is a little bit out. I've just got to check my references. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit the angle of it around that corner there, that little notch there. Other way around, it's not quite right. I'm not sure if if I just need to take a little bit off the edge of that door, or if I have to modify that hole there, but I don't think so. I don't think it'll be too bad. The main door, this is why you need to have you can't just put a full sheet of styrene across, is you'll get interference with the landing gear light recesses. See those little balls there? If the camera will focus. Yes, Penny, she's just chasing her fleas away. In the corner there, my dog. Okay, so what you also have to do is you have to cut, oh look at that, if I zoom in you can see it. You have to cut off about where I've painted black. About 1 mil at the end there. That's because it's designed to go in like that, and so it needs somewhere to purchase. You just need to cut off a little bit of that because it's actually angled up, and you need this to be perfectly flat, and it's a bit too long. But see those 2 balls there, they interfere when you try to put it in the slot here. So if you put that in there like that, as you can see, that piece is too long at the end there, so you just got to cut off that little bit. But if you put that full sheet all the way across there as a lip, it'll interfere with the ball. So just do a little piece there. I don't know how long that is. Oh, it's well, there you go, it's 1 inch or 25 mil, that piece there, and that piece there, whatever that is. Oh, it can't be more than 8 or 9 millimeters across. So when you put these together, and do it on the other side as well, I haven't done it yet, but when you put these together, okay, yeah, you'll have somewhere for those doors to go. Now the way I'm going to do this, and I'll have a little break here because I'll show you how to do it right, is it's completely flat across the bottom there, as you can see. So let's make the doors flat. So after I modify those 2 small doors, and this is the piece that Airfix give you, thankfully, it's all ready to go. Just needs a bit of clean up with the sprue parts. So put them down the opposite way. Is it that way? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What we need to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 1 door. I'm going to glue them all together. It helps if it's in camera. I'm going to glue them all together to just make 1 door. And then you can just slot it in. So the best way to do it actually is maybe a piece of epoxy, or maybe I'll just get, if I can get this with my big sausage finger hands, I'm going to use tweezers. Maybe just put a piece of styrene all the way at the top there and just hold it down, glue them together. And then once it's all set, all I have to do is just plonk 1 piece door. Wouldn't it be nice if Airfix had engineered it that way? That would have been nice, wouldn't it? I mean, not exactly hard to CAD that up. Just put those existing 3 pieces in the CAD file, make it 1 piece. It's not a very long piece. Heaps of space left on those very poorly designed sprues, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'll be back in a second. Without it popping. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, what I've done is just basically put, it's actually 2 pieces, just to make sure that, and you have to take away a lot of the internal detail of those 2 main doors there to get that moving, and make sure it's nice and flat, and make sure there's no big gaps between the maybe just a small gap, but the end of this end, I've got to point to it. So that end I needed to file off a little bit, and this one here you have to square it off. It actually comes molded as with a bit of a corner on each here. There's a little corner and a corner there. You've got to take off about 0.3 of a mil of plastic and make it a straight edge, or it won't fit into the slot there unless you want to modify the actual fuselage pieces. But there you go, that sits in there nicely once it's glued down, and it's got a bit of a bend to it, but once it's glued in with the cockpit, I'm just going to leave a little bit of wiggle room there so I can adjust it on the fly. So if I just tape that down, and you'll see that we'll zoom out, because I have the tail and I have the whole aircraft assembled. There we are. So the tail goes on there. It's a bit of a sloppy fit, just like look, there's been a lot of superlatives about this kit, and it looks like it's going to be a really nice kit to put together. So far, just doing all the experimentation with having to modify parts and everything, and you have to fit a few pieces. So I thought to sort of half assemble the kit. Yeah, it's a good kit. It's not Tamiya. It's not, it's not, just doing that little wheel well bay at the front there. I mean, sloppy fit. This is a sloppy fit at the back here. This fit here across the spine, I mean, I'm going to have to modify and play around with that, and because that gap is going to be too big. And like I said, every single one, there hasn't been one, has got a large gap there. That's not good enough, because on the real thing, particularly when these are all going to be parked like this, flat on a competition table or in your bench or whatever, you're going to see that. So some work has to be done. Look, it's a really good kit. It's a B+, A- kit. I'm not saying it's crap at all. No way. It's really a lovely kit, and I'm really looking forward to getting this up in the air. But as you can see, we've got the slats are in their proper position now. Okay, and if I turn that, I better take that off because it will fall out like that. If we turn it over, there we are. The landing gear is set. Speed brakes are done. Flaps and ailerons are up. Landing gear's up. So yeah, if I had to do this again, and I will, I'm contemplating, because there's so many lovely schemes to do with the Jaguar. I'd get this kit again a couple of times. I would prefer to 3D print and make parts that just go straight in. But if I'm not that skilled at doing that. It doesn't take that long now that I know what to do. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you can just skip ahead and go to this bits you need help with. Instead of figuring it out on the fly. Shouldn't take more than about an hour to modify this to wheels up. Would be nice if Airfix actually did it properly out of the box, but they don't. They've seemed to given up on that on a lot of their kits, which is a real shame. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that. I will get cracking on my other projects. I'm going to put this aside and come back to it another day, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.